Good morning, everyone. I'm Natasha, and today I'm going to share my findings about the topic, problems brought by remote work and the possible solutions, and from an employer's perspective, and why I choose why I write the topic as from an employer's perspective is because many people argue that work from home has many benefits for employers, but seldom do they um, analyze the issues from an employer's perspective. And there are many problems that brought by work from home, such as the management issue and the incohesion between
between
the
the
employers
employers
and
and
also
also
the heart of generation of innovation ideas. And so let's go into the abstract. And the purpose of my study is to find out that the reason why remote work succeeds in some tech companies, such as Google and Microsoft, but fails when it comes to some investment banks like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. And in the following study, I will firstly define some general problems brought by remote work, and then I will analyzing the differences of working condition and company culture between Google and JP Morgan, using them as cases, analyst cases. And and lastly, I will conclude with the reasons why that leads to the adaptability and the inadaptability in the two target industries, and bring some simple possible solutions that leaders might find it useful. And And although there are still many other issues for leader to deal with, such as companies' cybersecurity and exhaustion of workers due to constant distraction, and the study will mainly focus on an organizational aspect and elaborate on management issues more. So as lockdown of the society started at the summer of 2020, many companies were forced to adapt remote work. From now, and many observers view the push to working at home as a kind of liberation for employees, and which making employees free from restriction and pressures of the office, and a better way of work-life balance. Mm, but the new working mode still brought some challenges for some big organizations and companies. Just as JP Morgan's Chase and Co. CEO Jamie Dimon talked in a conference held by the Wall Street Journal, he said that working from home doesn't work for those who want to hustle and the young people. What's more, remote work hinders organization and spontaneous ideas generation and disconnects employees and making companies culture hard to maintain. So he insisted that the bank um, will be more competitive and ask all of their employees back to the office as soon as possible. However, on the other hand, many large tech companies are considered because now it seems to have ease in the restriction of COVID-19 pandemic. So many large companies are also considering calling their employees back to the office. But because employees tend not to return to the office because they think it is more flexible and have more choices for their career path, and if they stay at home for work. So there is a tug of war between the employers and the employees. So many large companies try to are considering adopt a hybrid working mode. So my problem is why these companies can have um, they have these choices to adopt remote work, but those financial investing investment banks, they didn't want to continue working from home anymore. So firstly, I define some common problems of remote work. And the first one is the lack of innovation. And I found it from IBM's case. Um, working from home is not a new issue for many companies because back in 2027, and far before a pandemic had broken out, IBM, who had been operated remote work for decades and had made the decision of recalling thousands of employees back to the office. And according to John Steuven, a professor of management at San Francisco State University, he pointed out that the main reason for IBM to completely abandon remote work is the lack of innovation ideas. The second problem of remote work that was commonly saw was remote work will reduce team cohesion. Because employees will learn how to navigate workspace culture by watching other people and how they interact. In the office, what matters is the atmosphere, but not. Although efficiency is also important, but the culture is the one that motivates employers to work on the same goal together. So also moments of serendipity, such as informal conversations, that will help individual core value to stay aligned with the organizational. And though there is a long-term scale, it has a positive influences on team's cohesion. So remote work has caused the lack of innovation and also reduced team cohesion from these literature evidence. And let's take a look about this graph. And the Wall Street Journal once quoted a study from an outside analyst organization, and the organization study about and make a questionnaire for to about 1,500 leaders and ask them why remote work went poorly. And this is the consequence. You can find out that the highest one is the tech issues, and the increase in distraction at home is in the second place, and following is the reduced team cohesion and difficulties in communication. So it seems that people's issues are really important problems for leaders to deal with. So let's get into the part of case analysis. And firstly, I will introduce Google's working condition and corporate culture. And for Google, creation is their main task because Google's main business are developing online tools such as Gmail, Google Meets, or Google Drive to make users' life more convenient. So their daily business are about keep proposing innovation ideas and do experiment to support their ideas. So the main task they need to do is about discussing or get together to brainstorming about more ideas. So and also at Google, paying attention to how employees work and helping them correct mistakes is also a critical one. Instead of pointing out damaging and blaming a person who caused the mistake, the company is interested in what the cause of the problem was and how to fix it as quickly, as efficiently as possible. So it seems that Google encouraged their employees to create. Yeah. And as for the corporate culture, Google views users' privacy, individual personality, and creativity the most. So to make sure that their employees work with satisfaction and happiness, they build the famous workspace which offers employees free food and entertainment and allow them to play rather than work. So So because it respects individual differences between employees, so leaders of Google's are more likely to respond to employees' expectation on working style. So this culture, which encourage people to tune their working pace, depend on their personal situation, will make it implementation of remote work easier through the company. So let's take a look at JP Morgan's case. The working condition is longer and has longer working hours. For investment banks like JP Morgan, their daily business are giving accurate prediction on financial markets and offering firms and individuals with an accurate investing advice. So how high accuracy of analysts and advice are strictly required because it will affect world's stock market and economies significantly. So longer working hours are to prevent these mistakes from happening, and it's sure there will be more pressure. And the second one is experiences matter. In a virtual environment, it is difficult for younger employees to reaching out for help right away. But for JP Morgan, according to JP Morgan's business field, the analyst of the financial environment is strongly dependent on the analyst's experiences. So if when a new employer when a new employee come up with problems or they make some mistakes on the report to their client, they need instant feedbacks from their seniors and mentors so that they can correct it right away. JP Morgan's new employers fail to do it under a remote working place, so it might cost them harder to adapt it might adopt the remote work. As for corporate culture, JP Morgan tried to build a winning culture between their employees. According to their official document, How We Do Business, it is obvious that the principle, profession, and ethics are what they matters the most. So they require their employees to set a high standard for themselves and encouraging them to striving for best internal governance and controls, and also being self-disciplined. But under remote work, just as the common problems we just mentioned in the reduced team cohesion part, employees need to watch other people's work so that they can navigate their workspace culture. So under a remote work, it's harder for JP Morgan's employee to become self-disciplined and pursuing personal growth. Let's get to the conclusion. So by comparing Google and JP Morgan's cases, so it is obvious that there might be some relationship between the company's business field, company culture, and adaptability of remote work. Because Google offers innovative service to worldwide users, so the company developed a flexible culture and offering relaxing environment for employees to work in a good mood, so that they can create more aha moments. So because there's less experience needed and information sharing when brainstorm on a topic, the employees can finish their task just by video conferencing, or it's more easier to work independently. However, on the other hand, JP Morgan plays a pivotal role in the financial market, so their employees are required to offer accurate prediction and advice. So those mistakes are less tolerated. For them, working together in the office might be the best choices to make their daily business run smoothly. And that's the solution a simple solution I offer for some leaders. And because you can find out from the two cases that there are the biggest problem for companies in adaptability of remote work is because there's the lack of the connection between employees. So leaders should create moments for serendipity intentionally. To
I'm sorry,
mitigate
Natasha.
this. Okay.
I think I need to ask you to conclude, to finish the
Okay.
conclusion as quickly as you can. Thank you.
Okay. So the solution is to leaders need to create moments for employees to interact together so that they can work smoothly, and also the working space will be a better place for the virtual workspace will be a better place for younger employees to ask questions and reach out for help. And that's all of my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think again, so this is a really intriguing and also highly relevant topic, especially right now. A lot of people are experiencing WFH. Yeah, I think I appreciate the fact that you try to you try to maybe filter through a lot of facts and you try to maybe come up with some solution. And I think so the comparative case study you've done is also very comprehensive. Right. So can we start with any question or comments? So maybe I just want to confirm what you just said. I think so. You try to compare the corporate culture of Google and JP Morgan. I think you seem to point out that because in JP Morgan, employees they tend to rely more on the team support, especially the junior employees. So that's why maybe remote work doesn't really work that well for JP Morgan employees. But you also point out that maybe if we can enhance the virtual working space. So if JP Morgan can find a way to improve maybe team coherence, then remote work can still be a feasible solution.
I think that the workspace, because the work from home mode is just for a short term solution. It's just a short term solution. So in the long run, I think most of the company will back to office, ask their employees to back to the office. So, but I think if JP Morgan adopt this kind of just like conversation space and make seniors stay online all the time for their younger employees to ask questions, it might be a little bit it might be improve this it might improve this kind of problems. But I think because JP Morgan is there are they offer consultant service. So the collection of the client's data and the analyst, the work is more complicated. So maybe their seniors need to instruct them physically, so to make sure the efficiency of the feedback. So I think the solution I propose is just a short term solution, but in the long run, they also need to back to the office.
Let's see. So thank you for the answer. I think it's very clear. Okay, I think we can maybe just we can have maybe time for one question or comment. So feel free if you like to ask or make comments. Yeah, I think so. Natasha just shared with us some maybe content to be digested. Again, a very simple suggestion here. Maybe you can also try to dive into the psychological aspect of remote work. I believe that some psychologists have done some substantial studies. I think maybe another important difference will be maybe the pressure level employees have to deal with. And we know, yeah, if you work in financial services, you tend to work in high pressure environment, right? So if you work remotely due to the lack of the high pressure, I mean, for example, employees may lose their concentration level. We know recently, for example, one city group trader based in London, he made a mistake, right, while trading stocks, and that actually led to the again the crash of the stock price of H&M, right? So again, I think this human error can actually be avoided if the employee is not working remotely. So I think maybe you can also try to look into the psychological factors. I think this may also yield some more interesting findings. Okay, good. So I think this is also a highly promising topic. So thank you very much. I think you also made a very convincing presentation. Let's give Natasha a big hand. All right, very good. So now we're going to move on to our next presentation.